Welcome. We're going to learn how to use Perl, the system. This is and encapsulates all of version 2. If there are significant changes that are needed to be made, I will update this video moving forward. But as of now, this corresponds with the most recent iteration of ChatGPT. Okay, so again, Perl is a system inside the ChatGPT uh, platform. It basically is a GPT which sets parameters around the types of answer it gives. And I'll just kind of show you what that looks like as we move through this. But let's go ahead and get started. So these are some of the main functions, and we'll just start with here. So at any point, if you need to, you can just control click or select the bookmark, and it'll bring you to basically that section and what it does. Now, for this first one, uh, I asked it just some general questions, okay? And I just went on Facebook to see what kind of questions teachers were having. If it's an instructional question, it will give a detailed response. If it's just like an idea generation kind of an item, it will just give you those ideas. But if it's instructional strategy, like I said, it will lay out through best practices. So this one's just an idea board for the first lesson or question, and it just basically goes through different boards and themes that you can do for students between anything from Spider-Verse to Super Mario moves and so forth. The next was SEL lessons, and it gives you different sources that you can use for that. And then it gives you an example of activities as well too. When you ask an instructional question, this one's talking about equipment. What it does is it restates the problem, then it goes into practical solutions, and then it has a section about research-backed PE justification. It's drawing upon these top scholars in the field to give you the justifications above. This is just a short paragraph explaining where those are coming from. And it should additionally give you tools that you should be able to use if it is in uh, this situation. It did not specifically, and this is why I picked this one, it did not specifically give you the resources in which it should give you resources. So what you can do as a follow-up is just go ahead and ask it, what are resources do you have for me in this situation? Okay, and these are just some of the items they suggest, and it gives you that navigation. If you click on it, it brings you to the home page. In previous iterations of Perl, it would try to link to the actual page, and what ends up happening is the links get broken, and then it's just a whole mess. So it's just easier to link you to the home page and tell you how to navigate situations from there. And some of these might be helpful, some of these are not. Again, the Perl manual is helpful because if it's an instructional question, this shows you how basically um, it should display on your screen. And it's an LLM, meaning it's a language learning model and it uses predictive text. It is specifically in the instructions told to do this, but sometimes the system moves faster than it can keep up with the instructions and it just glances over things and there's just no avoiding that. That's the limit. But if you look at the actual handbook, it will go ahead and show you basically what it should kind of look like. All right. Now, the other thing, and you kind of already got the gist of it with finding activities from vetted sources, but I'll go ahead and give you another one. There is a best prompt. You can actually change this to whatever you want it to be, but I found this one to be the most helpful. It says list 3 task 2 activities. It can be task 1 activities. Task 2 are game-like situations or game situations. And these are some of the examples that are in there that the teacher can use that are basically ones that I suggest. Um, in addition, teachers, and what I purposely left out, and if you want to um, add it in there, the textbooks do offer some activities, and I added as optional. And so there are textbooks that are programmed to basically format responses and things like that. And they do have activities in there. So you can always ask for a follow-up. And all you do is you go ahead, you copy and paste it into the system. I'll show you what that looks like right here. And we're going to go ahead and just so I don't bore you, we'll talk about, and you can see I went ahead and did this and I copied and pasted, and this is what it gave me. You just have to read through them and see if this is something that you might want to use. Again, some of these links might be broken. Ideally, they won't be, but you can go ahead and try to navigate from the home website. If you ask for specific directions, again, it should give you specific directions how to do it. And so this just kind of gives you different examples, and just reading off of these, some of these might not be appropriate task twos. I'm not sure. I'd have to actually read through them. And then as a follow-up, I said any of the textbooks that correspond, do they have any games? And it gave me specific activities. Again, I did not include this on the prompt itself because you can't really go back and read through the textbooks. It's just trained in that model. So therefore, if you want to ask, and then you could probably look it up on the internet, go for it. But I did not include that in the prompt system specifically, just because if you need more information, you really can't get more information. It's trained on those models. And that's more or less because of copyright infringement items. Can't do that. You can also do the similar things for ideas for task progressions if you want, or practice tasks, or even like instant activities and things of that nature. So that's just up to you and how you want to find ideas for activities. But it definitely simplifies the process instead of going to several different websites. You can at least filter those in advance and then just choose the one and maybe look at it more in depth that way. Now, this is by far my favorite feature. And it took me forever to program in there, not that you care about this, and to figure out how to actually get this to work. So what you do is you go to the manual. This is creating lessons, and it's a long prompt, okay, mind you, but all you're doing is copying and pasting. So it's really not that difficult, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and copy, and then we'll go back to my ChatGPT, and not to show you how the sausage is made, but I'm going to just, all you would do is type in your grade, unit, skill, and time frame. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. And abracadabra, it's automatically aggregating it as we go. It will try to populate in Canvas a lot of the times, which is just kind of like a separate window. I always say just answer in the chat. It sometimes when it goes into Canvas, it just again, it's an LLM and it's trying to do everything efficiently. It just kind of puts everything together, and that just kind of makes it look in paragraph format and makes it look a little weird. But you can see now you have a fully formatted lesson. And it doesn't, again, always get it 100% correct, again, because it is an LLM, like the source typically should go down here, but they put the source up here. But it does have everything that you really need as far as the cues and how it's pretty much should be how it is. And so in just a matter of seconds, you have your own lesson. And if you don't like the activities they give you, you know what you can go ahead and do? You can go ahead and go back to the last prompt and say, hey, find me 5 different dribbling activities. Then you might have to change other items about the lesson, but there you go. And again, ideally, it shows you how to navigate to it. Sometimes they won't do that just because it's an LLM. And so at that point, you can ask for better directions on how to actually get to this point. But it's just, you only have so much capability with an LLM. And pretty much, I created a lesson in about 10 seconds. You're welcome, world. All right. And now let's say I need an assessment for this. I'm going to just go ahead because this is the actual example I use in my example. But you just scroll down to build a matching assessment tool or just assessment tools. Go ahead, copy. You go into Pearl, and I'm copy and pasting the example right here. And it should, and I could have been more specific, like what task is it and things of that nature. But you can see right off the bat, it has the assessment tool, the domain, the standard, the purpose, and so forth. And it does a decent job. Again, it's an LLM. It's not going to be 100% perfect all the time. And you can obviously make edits for how you want to do this. For example, it has the stance and then it has the steps. I would obviously, if it were me, I would just say, hey, move these steps for the queue over to a level 4. Because this right now is reading more like a rating scale. So it's not 100% perfect all the time. It gets you pretty darn close right there. And even if you, let's say you did this as a quantitative outcome, this would be perfectly fine. It depending on who you ask, I'm not trying to get into the intricacies of assessment, but this is actually, you could give well developed feedback on this as well. Okay. And at the end, it shows you where it got the different uh, information from, actually. At any rate, you can go ahead and make adaptations. Like I said, it's not going to always be 100% perfect. It should get you mostly the way there. Sometimes it amazes you and you'll get there and it'll be perfect. Now, if you stay in the same tab always and you make the adjustments, it will remember for the next time that you create the assessment that, hey, these should go over here for the rubric that you want. Okay. I mean, I don't know what you want from me. This is free. It gets you most of where you want to go. Okay. So you got to do a little bit of legwork. Now, this again is the lesson plan in your own format. I will say it's not 100% accurate just because it does not do an amazing job at analyzing items. And what it's doing here is analyzing items and then reproducing it in your own format. It will get it somewhere of the way there in your format, but it does like if there's different text boxes and there's different ways that you scaffold it that's not linear, it's going to be harder because Perl does best when everything is linear. But what you would do is you go ahead, copy and paste it. And what you would see here is this is my free account, so I was not corrupted with the system itself. But you can see that overall, right now, it looks different because it's in that school format. So, for example, there's academic language, but it doesn't appear in our format. They have pictures and things like that, which does not appear in our format. So just know that it tries to do the best it can, but it will get it close to what you need. And now we're on one of my more favorite things. As a teacher, I always wanted to continually improve. And a lot of the other teachers that I worked with, they were busy and they couldn't really give me feedback. And then when the principal came to evaluate you, they didn't know good PE. Pearl is just another set of eyes. It's not going to get everything correct. And you actually have to critically analyze the feedback that it gives you. It will try to fill in the gaps where it does not find the information explicitly. Therefore, sometimes you'll be like, this is a volleyball lesson. Why is it suggesting I use basketball cues? And that might just be because it's trying to work too quickly and fill in the gaps. So you do actually have to critically analyze it and go over. And they all work the same basic way as far as how you analyze the items in the book, the handbook. And I do give you the just that as a general note, use your best professional judgment. Ooh, there's two systems. The general feedback, the first one almost always gives you uh concrete, real feedback as far as not filling in the blanks because it's really short. The longer one is great with line by line feedback of specific items to look for, but sometimes, again, like I said, it will fill in the gap. And I'll show you both. But the systems operate the same way as far as lesson plan evaluation, assessment evaluation. So you just go ahead and upload it and then copy and paste the prompt. Pretty easy enough. And then teaching as well. Teaching, you can upload transcripts. For the transcripts, you would do, you can upload them to YouTube, but again, there's a lot of privacy concern issues there. I mean, if you put them on private, I use something called Otter AI, which automatically upload your video and then you download your transcript, and it worked perfectly well for me. And again, you can do the 500 words or the line by line feedback. And then the last thing with the teaching review is actually a video. Videos are limited to only a minute. That's what it is. There's other systems out there that you have to pay for. They can do almost like the whole video, and it's still not the best, again, at analyzing the information. Not to be redundant, we're just going to go over the lesson planning one because it's pretty much all operates the same way. And to keep this video shorter than I would like it to be. Uh, than it's going to be. But at any rate, so what you do, you just go ahead, copy the prompt, and then you go to ChatGPT and you're going to go ahead and upload your lesson plan. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you can see it says, give me 500 words feedback. Now, this is not a linear lesson plan, actually. If I were to show you what it looks like, it is basically a lesson plan that uses different blocks and sequences and things of that nature. But again, what it'll do is it'll go through and it'll give you different feedback for various things and items. It'll give you your strengths, then some things to improve upon, and then some things at the end. This was one that I completed myself. It was with a different format just to test it out and to see how it would handle other formats. And it does a pretty good job for all things considered. Now, what you'll see here is the other thing that you can do is the line by line feedback. So the line by line feedback is a little bit more extensive, and I somehow accidentally added a line. And what you'll see is that it brings you to this document. All you do is just copy and paste it. And often I like to combine the two strategies because the first one will actually get you started and see what it is like. And then you could attach it again, but since it already has it in the system, I'm actually going to change it slightly. So you can use either or. It says paste on my attached file. I'm going to just say from before because this is a new chat, by the way, just FYI from before. Um, and if it was just the initial chat, initial one, just say based on my attached file. And then you just go ahead and copy and paste. You click enter again, abracadabra, and I'll show you what that looks like. You can see it starts giving me feedback. This is just how many, the 35-point checklist, how many pearls I got. 97%. This was supposed to be an example lesson. There might be something I need to improve upon. So even myself is not perfect. Let's see what it has as I go through. But it gives you the line by line adjustments and the things. I guarantee it's in the closure. Intratest variation. Okay. So that I'd have to go back and look at that and see what I can improve, if anything. So it might not be perfect, right? Um, so always consider, but it just makes me go back and reconsider, even myself as a professor. I might have made a mistake there. Probably not, but it makes me go back and double check. And you can create other ancillary materials. This is an anchor chart on the volleyball bump. And so it's based upon the volleyball lesson. Can you give me an anchor chart, make the 3 Ps of volleyball. So we got the 3 Ps, position, platform, and question. This is just a friendly alien. You can't make it of anything. Like there will be copyright infringements if you try to put like Spider-Man or something along those lines. That's a copyrighted figure. Although you could probably do a workaround in some way, shape, or form, but I'll let you decide in your own conscious how you would prompt a similar image that does not go onto copyright infringements. But there's other things you can do, like task cards, if I wanted a task card as well too. And alternatively, I could do something like a task card. We got task, which is position, platform, and then it missed push. You could just go ahead and edit the image and just type in push if you really wanted to. Or you just say, hey, please put in push. And then we have our task progressions and what we're actually doing. So this is something that each student could have in their repertoire. So you just want to be specific on what you want the GPT to do. And again, I show you this unedited because it did miss this. If I redid the prompt, I'm sure it would be perfect. But that's a little bit about what Pearl can do. Use a manual. There's other items it can create as well too. But to get the most out of it, you really do want to use this system. All right, good luck.